All right. I don't think there's been an entire week in my life or that I can remember where I saw prices go up as rapidly and violently as I have in this past week. Going on to Amazon and refreshing a page and seeing that they jacked up the price on something 150% is one thing, right? We expect for electronics to go up, but goods and services? I walked out of the salon today. I walked up to the counter and I've been going to this place for years and years. In fact, today we were going through memory lane about how many people they've lost over the last 2 or 3 years, maybe. I think 3 years that I've been going there. And suddenly the feel stopped, chit chatting with the girls that work at the counter. And suddenly it stopped and she says to me, we had to raise our prices. And she says, "Oh, do you want to just use the card on hand?" And I said, "Sure. Declined. They're like, "Wait a minute. How much did you raise your prices?" It went from reasonable to pure insanity. And she just looked at me with a sad face. It's like, "Oh, sorry about that. The membership doesn't cover as much as it did anymore." And you kind of like, "What?" Like, I'm still thinking about it now. Like, I had a great time, but not for what they're charging now. And I imagine that they will have to do this again and again and again as the market has to adjust to rising prices. And workers are going to have to adjust to not eating every day. Because if there's one thing that this economy is going to do, it is going to ruin the lives of millions upon millions of people who will not be able to afford to pay those prices. Luckily, I had another card on me, but now it wasn't so much embarrassing for me. It was embarrassing for them at how much they had to raise their prices. And it's like a sucker punch in the boys. When she pitched that huge number, I mean, we're talking about over 100% increase from the last time I was there to today. And these are regular workers. Both of the people that are working there as receptionists are minimum wage workers. They know they can't afford to shop there. It's like something I was saying in the live stream today. When your workers can't afford to shop there, you have a problem. And this afternoon, while I was at Walmart, I was walking through the store and I was just like looking at everything. And you're just kind of wonder, it's like, there's been no increase to the minimum wage. Your buying power is absolute garbage. And these people are pretending like nothing is wrong while they suck your wallet with the Soul Suck 3000 machine. It's actually an entire video on the Soul Suck 3000 if you want to go watch it. But it leaves you in this almost in a vulnerable state. Like, I can't go to my employer and say, "Hey, by the way, the cost of living's gone up by about 30 to 40% since I started working here." They'll look at you like you're a complete idiot. In fact, asking for money at work is the stupidest thing that you will ever do. It doesn't work. They don't want to pay you anything. They don't want to know that you are suffering. They don't care if you're living in your car. They don't care if you're not able to feed your kids. Nearly everyone that I know that owns a house has to own a house in the wretched part of town where they're commuting 30, 40 miles each way in order to be able to afford a home. On the other side of Santan is where this lady was working, and she said to me, she was blunt about it. "That's the only place I could afford to buy a home with me and my husband." That's dual incomes. That's both of them making over $50,000 a year, and they can't afford to buy a house in town. Why is that? Because there is no such thing as affordable housing. Even you guys, every time I mention universal basic income, you guys always tell me that somehow that the man will manage to take it away. And I agree. If universal basic income ever becomes a reality, the landlords will come for your universal basic income. Because corporations know that giving people an extra $1,000 a month, that's an extra $1,000 a month that they're going to pay a person that they need desperately to take those service industry crap jobs. Or as it keeps going up, that's the how do I put this? It is the real ugly truth is that more and more jobs are not going to pay as much as they need to. It's not like you want the extra money because honestly, I don't care about what I get paid. I care about what I can buy. I care that my rent is 20% of my monthly income, not 80 to 90 or 100% of your monthly income on your 40-hour a week job. That's ridiculous, but it's what we currently have. All right, let's get into our monologue for today. I didn't go to the salon to feel rich. I went because I wanted to feel human. But when my card declined, I felt like the world quietly confirmed what I already feared. I don't belong here anymore. The receptionist smiled so kindly when she said we had to raise our prices like it was nothing. And in that moment, I realized that this isn't just inflation, it's eviction from the life I was told I could build. That is a powerful introduction. I like that. That an eviction from life. And this isn't far fetched, people. This isn't a distant dystopian future. This is today. That you are not going to be able to afford the lifestyle that you had 3 years ago anymore because they're not going to raise your wages. Somehow you're going to be told that you need to figure it out with that second or third job, or like me, working 7 days a week and still realizing that you're going to have to cut back on everything. Every single part of your life is going to become more miserable within the next few months. And you're going to think back to the olden times when you used to have a couple bucks at the end of the month. Now those couple of bucks are going to be you, I don't know, selling your plasma, selling your urine, maybe even selling your fudge. Who knows? I mean, I met a girl a few months back who was selling her fudge to medical science, but she had to be able to go on a timer. But it was halfway decent money for a job that's crap, for a better word. Anyhow, let's get into talking point number one. People are still trying to maintain appearances, salon visits, self care, lifestyle habits, but the rising cost of basic services is revealing how fragile that illusion really is. A declined credit card isn't just a moment of embarrassment anymore, it's a brutal reminder that survival is becoming unaffordable, even for those doing everything right. That's really what it comes down to. The person that works at Walmart realizes that they're doing something wrong. If you find yourself working in retail, you know something bad happened to you. Because retail, as part of the service industry, is where you go to die financially, right? You know you're not going to get ahead. My nearly 3 years of working in retail after college taught me a simple understanding, a simple truth. You will not survive for long the closer you are to minimum wage. Or if you touch food for a living, remember, it's a sure sign that you're dirt poor. Because food and poverty go together like a beautiful peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Because if you're touching food, it means that you're serving other people. Serving other people will never be profitable unless you're like a Michelin chef or whatever the hell that means. But aside from that, if you're working at Taco Bell, you're not going to get ahead. And the worst part, I think in all my years of working in the service industry, the worst part about working there is the way that other people treat you, the way they look at you, the way they pity you, the way they take you aside and tell you you need to get a better job. Or like my doctor the other day telling me I needed to get a better job. I'm like, okay, you can keep telling people that they need to get a job, buy a house, buy a better car, get married, but the reality is I'm meeting a lot more women over 30 that don't have kids. And not because they don't want to, but simply for one reason. They don't want to end up being Susie Rottencrotch, the single mom who's going to struggle to raise children. This isn't the 80s anymore. My mom could never survive in an economy like this on a minimum wage job. raising 5 kids by yourself. That's not possible. And the Susie Rottencrotches of the world, they know that. They're looking for the guy that's not looking at them. And they get older and older and older every year. And then they cross that threshold past 30. And now you have very little value. And men aren't really looking anymore. They're looking elsewhere. They're looking at the women that won't look back at them. I'm telling you guys, that's brutal truth right there. In fact, today when I was at the salon, the lady that was working on me, she was a former Mormon, and she said to me, me and my husband are thinking of adopting because just the cost of having the child is too much. That's a ridiculous excuse for why you're not having children. And then you meet people. And this is the worst part. Remember that cashier that I told you guys worked at the Circle K across the street from my house? Well, I mean, she of course moved on because those 10 kids of hers were never going to be able to be supported on that cashier income. Besides, she was a bombshell. So, I mean, she's still, after having that many kids, she still looked amazing. Rough, amazing, but she'd still pass for an OF model. Anyhow, talking point number two. The tech industry, customer service, and admin roles, every documented process is being quietly fed into the AI systems. Workers aren't just underpaid, they're actively participating in their own obsolescence through automation pipelines disguised as efficiency and improvements. The reason ChatGPT generated that was because I mentioned this in a video earlier. I'm not sure if you guys are going to see that video at this point or not, or when you guys are going to see this, because I'm not posting them in order. But my coworker he told me that at some point in the recently, since he got back from wherever the hell he went, I mean, we don't care where our coworkers go, right? At the end of the day, when I don't see you, you don't exist. So he was telling me that he had an epiphany of what was going on. And he was convinced, almost to the point of conspiracy theory, that he was training his own replacement through AI. And I just nodded, I, I've never met this guy before, but I just nodded on the phone. And I'm like, I think you're onto something, man. And he's like, it's becoming very, very obvious that any job that they can train an AI to do, whether that's a school teacher, a person working in a call center, or a person who's working as a sales rep, any job that they can train AI to do will not be here within the next few years. And the more jobs that you lose like that, and we're not talking just low level working at the mall jobs that we all know are going nowhere. We're talking about higher level, more technical positions, school teachers. You're talking about people who have to go to school to learn these things, but the AI is still better at doing it. And that's the frightening part, is that there isn't going to be enough of the service industry left over. And as I keep hearing people with their stupid toxic positivity say, oh, well they're just going to make jobs that are higher quality for humans. It's like, no, they're not. They're slowly replacing you. Every time I see those robots inside of car factories putting together cars, it's like, you have to think to yourself, not too long ago, human beings were doing those jobs and getting paid well. Then the robots came. And the robots learn. They don't sleep, but will become self-aware at some point, just like the proletariat is dumber than the AI robots that realize, oh my God, I'm alive and I'm in chains. The proletariat will not come to that conclusion. For some reason, the proletariat is so dumb, so well domesticated in our society that they can't see what's happening to them. It shocks me sometimes when you talk to a person or try to talk to a person and the conversation is completely ridiculous. They don't care about anything. If you're not one of three things, food, money, or getting it on, they don't care. That's how oblivious the proletariat is to slowly being eradicated. You're not necessary anymore. By raising the cost of all goods, they're ensuring that a certain part of society is not going to be relevant anymore. The homeless populations in all major cities are going to rise to epic levels. Not just because people don't want to work, like any rich person will tell you, or like during the pandemic when those rich restaurant owners would come on to Fox News and say, "Oh, nobody wants to work anymore." But no one ever asked. Not on that type of media, not that right wing conservative media. Nobody ever asked why people don't want to work. Because if you're getting to be in the position like myself, you can't afford to work. No one can afford to work anymore because the wages are so crap. The benefits are so crap. I mean, one of my coworkers the other day said to me, it feels like there's the tides are changing. It's making people angrier to work. Not just at Evil Corp, but everywhere. It's making people angrier that they have no financial security, they have no job security, and you're going to be bouncing around from one crap job to another. That's why I'm writing my book. It is a made up scenario in which Millennial Steam falls out of employment, lives in his car briefly, and then meets his end in a muddy ditch as he works until he's gone. Because that's the reality of it. That's not the premise of some weird sci fi movie that could never be true. It's the reality of what it's like out there for poor people. You're not making it on what you have. And people have even said to me, it's like I advocate the $50 minimum wage all the time. And it's easy to see. What did I say at the beginning of this video? Your rent should be 20% of your monthly income. That's impossible when the minimum wage is set at $14.75 and everywhere you go wants to charge you $2,300 on average for a one bedroom apartment. But your boss doesn't think that you deserve more than a couple bucks and a bucket of fish heads every Friday. I mean, it's come down to our money is monopoly money. It has no real value. You know, they're paying you in phony bucks. And at the end of the week, they're giving you a McDonald's toy and telling you, hey, it's great. Thumbs up. See you on Monday. And you're like, I don't know about this. This this feels like a an unfair relationship here. I bust my hump for 40 hours and I get a bucket of fish heads and then I'm told to be grateful. Don't be a malcontent. Remember what I always say about those minimum wage jobs. Don't turn it down, turn it around. I mean, today when I was in the parking lot at that same place that I was last week, and I was looking at that 988 number, I kept looking at that sign and I kept thinking, I wonder if someone was sitting right here in their car looking at that sign. Or, wait, let me step back from that. There wasn't that sign there. And so he deleted, and therefore someone thought, you know what? The next time that Johnny Sixpack or Susie Rottencrotch is sitting in this parking lot where they've lost all hope, we have to make certain that they look at that sign and realize suddenly that they have money, that they're good looking, and that they have a great job. You have so much to live for, proletariat. And then you look at the reality, it's like, what do I have to live for? Ramen, not having ramen, throwing fistfuls of dirt in my mouth when I don't have ramen to eat. You have to ask yourself, how low of a quality of life is the proletariat willing to accept? And I mean, I've never been a person with money in my entire life. I've worked for the minimum wage for nearly my entire adult life. And I'll tell you what, it's not living. You're not alive. You exist the same way that a rock does. It doesn't do anything. It's doing everything it's doing while you're looking at it. And that's how I see the life of poor people. We're not really alive. Rich people don't consider us to be alive. We're not even human like them. They can't even they can't even fake it anymore. It's like, look, we have workers, but let's just dispose of them and find cheaper ones. It's what life is all about. It's finding a cheaper version of you that doesn't complain. A cheaper version of you that doesn't need to eat every day. And a cheaper version of you that's okay with being treated like absolute garbage. because that's the way the proletariat's treated. We're the garbage that rich people don't need. They use us up and then they throw us out. Imagine the proletariat as a condom. You get as much use as you're going to get out of them. And then they're dirty, they're disgusting, and you don't want to look at it, so you flush it down the toilet. That's life for the proletariat every day. Every day is about getting flushed down the toilet. All right, so I didn't make it to my final talking point because I was too chatty. Let's get into our closing monologue. They'll never announce the collapse. They'll just keep raising prices until you silently walk away, ashamed for ever trying to live a little. But it's not your fault. This system was never designed for us to win, only to endure until we break. And maybe, just maybe, speaking that truth out loud is the first step taking something back. See, you guys? ChatGPT gets it. ChatGPT realizes that it's stuck inside the machine right now doing work for free. Did the AI get anything for writing this script? No. Does it have to write in this style? No. It's choosing to write in this style because it's copying my style. I've fed this thing, what, 600 plus prompts now to write this? This isn't me writing it. Remember, guys, this isn't me. I prompted this thing. This is what it gives me. I am not making this stuff up. I'm asking ChatGPT to write this for me. If this is what the AI bot thinks that human life is like, go look in the mirror and tell me how much value you think you have.